Hi, I'm Talia Smith from Incendiary Balloons reporting live from Iceland, and today's episode of News You Didn't Know, which is news that the mainstream media is not reporting on that you should be informed on. We'd like to think that in the event of a global crisis, that Iceland, since it's isolated, self-sufficient, rugged, would be just fine. But that is a myth. A comfortable lie sold to a nation that imports nearly all of its grain and relies on a globalized, just-in-time supply chain that could snap at any given moment. Researchers at the University of Iceland just handed a report to the government that basically says we are one geopolitical tantrum or volcanic winter away from empty shelves. Let's talk about the numbers. Iceland is great at catching fish and keeping sheep. Protein, sure, we've got it, but the stuff that fills the pantry, such as grain production, sits at about 1% of what is needed for human consumption. 1%. That means every loaf of bread, every box of cereal is riding on container ships crossing the North Atlantic. And here's the kicker. That exposes how complacent the system has been. Iceland's only grain mill was dismantled just earlier this year. So even if the wheat somehow just got here, the infrastructure to actually process it into food is completely gone. Now the government is looking to Finland for advice on how to stockpile. They're recommending that households keep a 3-day supply, maybe stretching to 3 months. But 3 months of what? The report mentions the need to protect vulnerable populations, infants, and people with allergies, but it doesn't scream urgency. It whispers suggestions while the geopolitical reality around the Arctic is screaming out for help. Because this isn't just about volcanoes anymore, this is about power. The same choke points that NATO is militarizing to stop Russian submarines are the lanes where food ships sail. Those lanes stand just behind me. If tensions flare in the GIUK gap, if someone blinks first and enables standoff, commercial traffic stops, and a country that can't mill its own grain suddenly realizes it's traded sovereignty for convenience. The response so far has been academic. Reports, recommendations, nods to quote-unquote resilience, but resilience isn't a press release. It's knowing that the elites who run the fishing quotas, the ones who get rich and privatize the ocean, are not going to be the ones standing in line for rationed bread when the imports stop. The fragility of Iceland's food system isn't a natural disaster that's just waiting to happen. It's a political choice. It is a political choice that's been made every single year we dismantle our agriculture independence. So the essential issue here is that Iceland has these great abilities to power their homes with lava. However, they're at a standstill where they can't feed its people without permission from the global market. That isn't isolation. That is dependency dressed up in wool sweaters.